Welcome to The Spotlight, the podcast where veterans and military spouses connect and share how their military experience has transformed their lives and their businesses. Here's your host, Bob Louthen.
Hey, this is your host, Bob Louthen, founder of the VeteranCrowd Network, the network that brings veterans and veteran-led businesses together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. And you are tuning into The Spotlight. Hey, welcome everybody. Well, I am going into uncharted territory for me today. I don't know a whole lot about handbags, but maybe in the next 20 minutes, I'll learn a lot about it. My guest is Cruse. She's one of the co-founders of Riveter, 10 years in business, a military spouse-friendly company, Shark Tank veteran, spouse of an Army Special Operations warrior. Cameron, thank you for being on the program. Thanks for stepping into the spotlight.
Sure, no problem. And I'll tell you, 10 years ago when we started the business, I didn't know a lot about handbags either. So it's okay. There's a lot to learn, but it's all fun and games. It's a good industry.
Well, it's a fascinating business. You've obviously scaled it up now, but let's go back 10 years ago and just kind of help me understand how all of this got started.
Oh, goodness. Yes. So it was 2011. I had just graduated with a master's in architecture from the Savannah College of Art Design and moved, like many military spouses do, with my spouse and our son at the time. And we moved to the middle of nowhere. So we moved from the beautiful Savannah, Georgia to Dahlonega, Georgia, which is just about an hour north of Atlanta, kind of nestled in those North Georgia mountains. And it was the home of the 5th Ranger Training Battalion, where my husband had been stationed as a Ranger instructor, and there was no architecture happening there. So it was kind of like, I thought I had this career, this path, this identity, and that wasn't going to happen. And so after like a brief quarter life crisis, I met my business partner, and we just jumped right in, and we decided right then and there that, if there was nobody really coming to save us. So if we were going to have something for ourselves, we were going to have to build it. And why not build it also for every other military spouse who's looking for some kind of opportunity? And we just jumped right in and never looked back.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your founding partner.
So my business partner's name is Lisa Bradley, and she's currently in Ohio. And she's moved with the military and beyond for like 12 different moves. So, both of us as young military spouses in that moment really had no idea what we were getting ourselves into when we started this journey. But she had an MBA. So we're just having so many of the same conversations. We were planning on having a career. We wanted that for ourselves and for our families. And both of us were struggling to find that employment.
How did you come up with the product idea? You're kind of repurposing military materials, I think.
In the beginning, it was a lot of recycling materials. So what we did is we had this mission first. So we knew first and foremost that we wanted to provide some kind of income opportunity to military spouses because nobody deserved it more. And then we realized, okay, we've got that mission. How the heck are we going to do this? And the handbag, it's just a power accessory. So she's going to take that with her every day. It's going to go to the boardroom, to the playground, to, school drop off. It's going to go with you everywhere. So it was this power accessory that just, honestly, it fits so well for our business model because it's not clothes. There's not a lot of inventory. There's not a lot of technicality at the time. So clothes are too hard and too expensive. And handbags were just kind of perfect. They fit the model. They fit we needed, and we knew that it was going to be relevant to our customers.
So you started off making sort of some SKUs of specific products, right? Mm-hmm. And then you were actually getting the spouses to do the cutting and sewing. Is that?
That's right. So it actually started off as a 2-woman operation, just Lisa and I in the garage. And we knew that we wanted to have this network. We just had to kind of build the business first, right? And so we made 5 bags to make 10 bags and 10 bags to make 20, and just really grinding it out, putting all the money back into the business and starting to keep growing it. And then we finally got to the point where we could, ask one of our military spouse friends, hey, do you want to come over to the garage and learn how to sew these bags and be a part of this, have some fun along the way and make some money. And, I think everybody thought we were a little crazy in the beginning, especially our spouses, because Lisa and I had just met and we jumped right into the business. So everybody was kind of like, are you sure? And, I remember the moment it got really real was when we put our first sewing machine on a credit card between the two of us, and our spouses were like, okay, stop. We probably need to come up with some kind of plan. We need to understand the future. You're going into debt with this girl that you don't really know. And, I think we've sort of proved to them and to everybody else that we had something that we were going to do and we were going to kind of provide the solutions. So one military spouse at a time, we just kind of picked up and started adding to the team. And now we have over 45 remote riveters working all across the country.
This is a great lesson for entrepreneurs, because I think one of the biggest impediments to entrepreneurship doesn't come from the competition. It comes from the people, your friends and family,
Yes.
right? Who are saying, you're crazy. What is that right?
I think so. There's a lot of pressure. I think there's this idea too that being an entrepreneur is this sort of glamorous life. And I can tell you that, especially bootstrapping, manufacturing in a retail business in the very beginning, it was far from glamorous. We were kind of in the garage. It was cold. We would spend long days out there kind of making bags and then switching right over to trying to sell bags. So, as an entrepreneur, you're the one kind of doing everything from start to finish. So until you have a business that's scaled up enough where you can start to afford a team, you're doing everything from A to Z. And so there's a lot of communication and open and honesty that needs to happen between your spouse and you and your business partner, so that everybody's on the same page with some sort of realistic expectation, because it's not easy in the beginning. I'm not sure it's easy now, but there's a lot of unknowns in the beginning.
You guys must have made a lot of mistakes.
Oh, yes.
And then, and you have to have a culture that encourages experimentation, and it's okay to fail if you're trying to meet the mission, right?
100%. It's okay to fail, and it's okay to have no idea. It's okay to have no idea what you're doing and to ask questions and to ask more questions. I can't tell you how many times we were those girls who just showed up and we were like, well, can we get the 101? Because we've never done this before. And I think that that's okay. And sometimes you're going to look and feel like an idiot, and all you've got to do is sort of learn from that experience and continue to, sharpen those tools and keep moving.
I think it's something else that's interesting. And one of the first things you opened up with was having a mission, and your mission wasn't to make handbags and it wasn't to make money.
Correct.
That mission was to do something engaging for military spouses. Is there some 2020 hindsight in the wisdom of that you've gained with 10 years?
Well, I would say it came from a very naive place, because we really had no idea what it was going to take to start, scale, and manage a business. And so we were sort of coming at this from a very, it was true. Everything that we were trying to do, we were just trying to provide mobile, flexible income for our families and for the families of other military spouses. So that's sort of the first and foremost. And we knew that it was because, we have these identities that are wrapped up a lot of times in our careers. And I think to be fully happy and content in your life, you have to have something to call your own. And that, for Lisa and I, was what we thought was going to be our jobs, our careers. And so we were trying to sort of fill that void. And in the meantime, we were also sharing that in a very empowering way with other military spouses. And so it was really rooted in a very positive place, in a very mission-driven place. And I think that everybody can kind of feel that authenticity when you're interacting with somebody who's coming from a place of a true mission, or just trying to, get out there and make money. And I think that has always aligned to our benefit.
Probably sustained you through some of the hard times. Did you guys have a business plan in the beginning?
Oh no, we had so many different variations of what we thought our riveter was going to be. Especially as sort of young business owners, there's always this ideation phase, like we could do this and we could do this and we could do that, and we would start to run down that rabbit hole, and it wouldn't work or it would, and we did a lot of ping ponging, if you will, just because of the nature of our experience. And I can tell you, 11 years later, we run the company very differently, but that's sort of what we needed at that phase. We needed to get out there and experiment and fall down and fail and figure out what worked, and ultimately figure out and prove our market. Because when we first started this, there was a lot of people that were, they always wanted to be supportive, because you're talking about supporting military families. Who wouldn't be? But we had so many people that, told us, that's really cute, like you'll probably never make money, you'll probably never really scale the business, but good luck, rooting for you. And so it was just Lisa and I put our head down, and we were like, we don't really care what anybody else says, we're gonna try our best and see if we can.
Takes 10 years to become an overnight success, I think.
Yes.
Hey,
Yes.
and speaking of scaling, you guys have opened a manufacturing facility now in Florida. So
Yes.
how big is the business?
Well, the business right now, I mean, it's still, I'll tell you, we made it through COVID, which was an incredible blessing. We have seen a huge shift in the market. So the track that we were on, pre 2019 is a little bit different looking than we thought it was going to. But with the sort of setbacks that COVID, and I'll tell you, the year after COVID was incredibly hard as well, just because of the tail whip of some of the challenges that COVID brought. And so having to kind of make it through all of those, things look a little bit differently than I think we thought they were going to, if you were to ask 2019 Cameron and Lisa. But I think the name of the game is to always be nimble and flexible, and just keep going. And so we do have a manufacturing facility in Florida. It's sort of in the central Florida, just about an hour and a half south of Orlando in Wauchula. And it's been an incredible blessing. We've got a great team there. And, Florida really kept us open during COVID. The way that Florida was governed and managed, we were obviously making PPE, and we were doing everything that we could to help in that regard. But, if it hadn't been for the leadership in the state of Florida, and I don't think we'd be here today.
Honor, duty, service. At the Veteran Crowd Network, we're focused on our next mission, bringing veterans, veteran-operated businesses, and veteran service organizations together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. That's why we are launching the VeteranCrowd Rewards Program, exclusively for our individual and corporate members. Now you can save on travel, restaurants, goods, and services from brands you trust online and at over 900,000 locations nationwide. Find out more today at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. If you are a veteran-operated business, or a VSO, consider the connections, the network, the benefits, the engagement, and success of working with other veterans again. The Veteran Crowd Network, you paid a lot of dues to join this club.
Hey, you're listening to the Spotlight on the Veteran Crowd Network. My guest is Cameron Cruse. She is co-founder of our Riveter. I'm gonna drill into something else that I just think is fascinating. You have a new product line called the Heirloom product line, and I'm personally interested in this because I've got two ideas, but not to put that on the podcast. But tell everyone about the Heirloom program, the Heirloom product line that you guys have devised.
Yeah,
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. So, actually, when we first started, we were making everything out of recycled military materials. So we were going to surplus stores, and we were getting donations, and everything was made out of like a shelter half, an old tent, an old duffel, old uniforms, anything that we could get our hands on. And we started having people ask us, what if I had my own duffel bag, or what if I had my own blanket? Could you guys make a bag from my materials? And we were like, absolutely, because in the beginning you don't say no, right? And so we actually started to curate this collection, and it is called the Heirloom collection. And you send in your own personal materials and we make a custom handbag for you. And it's just full of these incredible stories. And it's just a great way to get those materials who, there's such special memories, and there's so much to be celebrated about those things. And it just gets them out of the closet, out of the trunk, out of storage, and into everyday use.
It's the pictures I've seen of it. I mean, it must be very special. I can envision my wife walking around with two things that I think she would just love and be so proud of, because they tell a story that's very personal, right?
They do.
Just a fantastic idea.
Well, thank you. And I think one thing that's so incredibly important is, before I met my husband, I had no idea what it meant to be in the military. I didn't know it was a career. I didn't really understand any of it. And so I think by having those materials and having them out in front of people every day and having this conversation starter of a handbag, we get to tell those stories and we get to talk about it, and we get to talk about how special those traditions and what this community really means to not only us, but so many generations before us. So it's really important to us to be able to, provide those happy, incredible, celebrated handbags for our customers, but also for the larger community to be able to continue that conversation.
You think being a military spouse helps you be a better entrepreneur?
100%. I mean, it kind of thrusted me into this unknown where I had to sink or swim. And so I think that it gave me a whole new perspective that is a much more fulfilling path for me than I could have ever sort of managed for myself.
It's just it's an amazing group of people. Let's shift gears for a second. I want to talk Shark Tank.
Yeah.
How did that happen? And you guys did pretty well.
We did. We came out with a deal. So Shark Tank is an awesome community, and we were actually fortunate enough to be a part of the military connected Shark Tank episode in 2016. So we went on with several other entrepreneurs who are all in some way connected to the military, and we got ourselves a deal with Mark Cuban. And I'll tell you, when we first started thinking about this, Lisa and I would talk about it, and it was like, no way, we can't do Shark Tank. Like, we're not those people. Like, we have no idea what we're talking about, because this is back in 2015 when we first started this conversation, and we had only been in business for 4 years, and it was so early, and we were so new to all of this, and so it was terrifying. But we realized that if we were truly trying to empower other military spouses and inspire our military community, that we were going to have to do it. We were going to have to get up on that stage and on that platform and do the best we could. And so we practiced and we studied our numbers, and we knew everything at every scale that we could ever imagine. And we went in there and got a deal with Mark.
How did, well, was there one thing that he settled on that really kind of sealed the deal for him, do you think?
It was a fascinating experience, because we weren't anticipating the positive reaction from all of the sharks. We thought we were really going to have to prove like why this was a viable business. And the reason we actually went with Mark is because of the way he connected to
you
what
had
we
a choice. Were they competing?
We did. We had several offers. Yeah, we had
Even
several
better.
offers. Yeah. We were like, oh my, are we out of body experience, right? And we went.
You have
with
to
Mark.
make the decision on the
We
spot.
do.
I mean,
You
kind of
do.
do the mental math, gymnastics on the finance. Oh,
you really do. Yep. And that was the one thing that we were so terrified about. We're like, we're going to have to do mental math on national television, like so quickly. But right. we got exactly what we asked for. So there was not a lot of math there, which was really nice. But he just really connected with what we were trying to do, not only in business with our model, but with socially with our military spouse, with our military spouse community, because the worst thing we felt like we could do was bring on an investor or partner that really didn't understand why and was only looking for that return, because we knew that we have a long way to go, right, before we're spinning out huge returns. But so we got a great partner in Mark, and he has really helped us over the last, I guess it's been 4 or 5 years, right? What year is it? Oh my God, no, it's been like 6 years.
22. You said 16. Is that when you were there? 6 years now?
Mm-hmm.
Man, time goes
flies
by quick, right? When you're having fun. Hey, you guys got an award for like Shark Tank Best of something,
We
right? I
got the
don't know, not to,
greatest. Yeah,
yeah.
goat,
What was that?
Shark Tank goat. I think the Sharks went through and the producers of Shark Tank went through and they identified all of the sort of the greatest of all time Shark Tank. And we were identified as one of the best stories of course, because our military spouse,
Right.
mission. So we were very incredibly grateful to have that sort of honor and recognition by the Shark Tank community. It was very special.
Well, congratulations on all of that. So here's my next line of questioning. How has, I mean, in the beginning, you were sewing bags, but you've gone through an evolution in terms of your role, and I'm sure Lisa has as well. And it's very difficult for a person to be a startup entrepreneur and then to be the CEO of a business. Talk a little bit about the trials and tribulations of that personal transition. And what are you doing today that you didn't expect you'd be doing?
Yeah, I think there's something, I mean, you're so tactical when you start the company. When you start something from nothing, you're literally doing everything. So if you have this idea, it's like, okay, how am I going to do it? I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to get in there with my hands and I'm going to build this bag, or, I'll make this website myself. So both Lisa and we like to get in there and play around and experiment and build stuff with our hands. And so it was easy for us in those early years because that's what the business needed us to do. And I think as we've evolved, I think the ultimate challenge is not only one of delegation, but learning how and when to grow your team. And then eventually, pass on those transactional and tactical applications. And then how do you manage and grow them? So I don't think that we've nailed it quite yet. I do think we still have a lot to learn on the leadership front, and I think we always will. I think it's one of the most, it's like parenting. It's one of the most difficult things you'll ever do is have a team and have a healthy, growing team as a leader. And so we're constantly learning every day because Lisa is the CEO and I've taken on the CCO role, which is Chief Creative Officer. So I do all of the new product development, marketing, kind of the watercolor side of the business, and she's spreadsheets is how we always break it down.
Right.
So those kind of our natural tendencies and our natural strengths. So it's always worked well. But I think having to take a step back and go, okay, what I'm doing today, is that the best thing for the business? Is that what the business needs, or is it what I want to do? Because those are sometimes two totally different things.
Where are you going? What do you think is going to happen over the next 12 to 24 months? What's the big plans for our Riveter?
It's a lot of the same, which is a really boring answer, but I think we've got a lot of military spouses that are yet to be employed, that are yet to have that income. And so we're, growing and scaling this business. But I think one thing we've identified is the way that we're going to do that. So we're looking into items like candles and jewelry and kind of trying to fill out to that true lifestyle brand. And we've always known that it was so much more than handbags. Handbags is where we started, but it doesn't have to be about that. It's how do we provide that mobile flexible income for military spouses in a way that works for her. And so there's so many opportunities in that little nuance.
Are you getting back on the road, going to do events at this point in time?
Getting there. It's been slower out of the gate. But we just moved to Southeast Texas as a family. My husband retired after 22 years this past summer. And so it's hard because I forgot what it was to sort of move around. As a special operations community in North Carolina, we were there for a long time. So I got to sort of settle in and build out that community, and you start to interact and introduce yourself. And by the time you know it, you've got a community. And so we're rebuilding a little bit. And so I am doing what I can here to kind of establish, myself and my family, and that eventually, hopefully, the brand in some way. But it's been like a true military spouse, get to move and do it all over again. And it's exciting and exhausting, all in the same vein.
I'm going to encourage everybody to check out our Riveter. Tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, Cameron.
Ourriveter.com will pretty much get you anything. So that's our Riveter, like Rosie the Riveter, the World War II icon. And, of course, you've got social. So we're at our Riveter bags across the board.
Fantastic. Hey, Cameron, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's been a fantastic discussion. Just thanks so much for stepping into the spotlight on the Veteran Crowd Network.
Thank you. Anytime we get to share our story and hopefully, inspire somebody to take that leap if they're thinking about it, we love to do that.
Hey, you've been listening to the Spotlight on the Veteran Crowd Network. I'm your host, Bob Louthen. My guest has been Cameron Cruse, one of the co-founders of Our Riveter. You'll be able to find links to all of our social media and to their website on the show notes. Just go to veterancrowdnetwork.com/blog. Thanks so much. Hey, Cameron, I'm going to throw out an Army Bravo Zulu to you and your husband. Thanks so much for being on the program. And that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to Spotlight by Veteran Crowd. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and uploads, please visit our website at veterancrowdnetwork.com. We'll see you next time.